Hi and welcome to another episode of Home Coffee Brewing with April. For this time I'm in Copenhagen. We're going into Henrik and he has a really sweet espresso setup where he is using an old school Pavoni machine together with a pretty modern new grinder. So we're super curious to see if he can figure out one, what the mystery coffee is, and also how he dials in coffee for the first time. So come with me in and we're going to meet up with Henrik and brew some espresso. Hey. So we're on the inside. We're in Copenhagen, and we have a really interesting espresso setup in front of us.
Yes.
Do you want to just quickly tell us what this is for the people that don't know?
Yeah, of course. So I have a really old school espresso machine that some might know. It's called, or the brand is called the Pavoni. This particular model is Stradivari. It's not really original anymore because I've modified it quite a bit, which helps these machines a lot with definitely with brewing and everything. And next to it, I have my very recently bought green grinder here.
Yeah.
From Optional that I'm very, very happy about.
The P100, right?
Yes.
So I'm really curious about when we started to talk about making this video, I thought it was really cool that we have this very classic espresso machine, really, and this super modern grinder, right? It's really, two different worlds coming together here.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to see what we can actually get out of it. Obviously, we're gonna want you to walk through all of those modifications as well, and we kind of do that as we go, right?
Yeah.
Because I think people are super interested.
Yeah, sure.
So a classic kind of lever machine, I guess, for the people that really don't know.
Yeah.
Basically, you're gonna be pulling stuff and almost said screwing stuff, but maybe not.
But yeah, that's also the thing with this machine. It's it's maybe not there. This was my first machine also, just to put out that as a note here, which I don't recommend because this is
interesting though.
A really hard machine to learn to use, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Because especially when if you haven't modified it or anything like that, it's basically all by feel.
Yeah.
And if you're new to espresso, that is almost impossible. I learned that the very hard way.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's not your average machine where you kind of press play and the espresso comes out, right?
No, exactly.
That's a workflow thing to consider here, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of small kinks and stuff like that you have to learn with this machine.
What are you doing now?
So right now I'm actually heating up the head.
Okay.
The group head of the machine because
by pulling in water maybe?
No, actually not pulling water. This is actually just so-called dry pumping the machine to heat it up. So this is basically made with the boiler is made so there's always room for steam. So it's kind of steam powered. And with that, when you're doing a dry pump, you're releasing a little bit of steam into the head.
Yeah.
And also just because of getting the heat up from the rest of the group.
Okay.
And you kind of have to do that. But at the same time is also a quite funny thing with these machines, because if you haven't modified this, one of the biggest problem with these machines are their head overheats very easily.
Ah, interesting.
And well,
that's actually really hot. I'm touching the group head now, and it's actually quite hot, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not even there yet. That's also why you kind of have to again, as I said, there's so many kinks with this machine.
Yeah, sure.
So that's also why I have a temperature strip here, so I can actually monitor the temperature. It's a little hard to see, but these basically change color.
Yeah, that would indicate roughly what the temperature. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we should say for just the reference of the video where this is that we haven't brewed with this morning, right? So basically what you did was that you started it, kind of left it the way it is, and then it was kind of heating up, right?
Yeah.
And then the dry pumping, interesting term. And then we're looking at the temperature of the group head here, right? Pretty much, right? Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I think let's introduce the coffee we're going to use, right? So
let's do it.
The way we're kind of doing it here is that Henrik here actually doesn't know what he's brewing with, which makes my life a lot more fun. So part of the idea here is that he's getting a coffee that I can say pretty, like, for sure he never brewed with.
Shit.
Because this is one of our new releases. And he's just gonna also show then how he approaches like a new coffee, like so a new dial in, right? So without telling you anything about the coffee, here is the coffee. Do whatever you normally do with an espresso when you get it in. Like, what's the kind of first approach? Do you have like a go-to recipe that you would jump into to kind of just try, or would you analyze the beans and try to figure out, the ratio? Like, what's the game plan?
Yeah, well, normally, there's a sign on it that says what it is, but
normally it is, yes.
No,
and then there's also a website with a bunch of recipes, but in this case, you don't have any of that, right? So
no, I would probably just look at it and definitely smell it.
Well, what are you seeing and smelling at the moment?
Well, it's right now it has a definitely a bit of like funk to it.
Interesting.
And it also looks like it is some kind of like natural fermented.
Well, how do you see that? Like, what's your kind of tell on figuring out if it's a natural?
I usually find it with like these, you can see on the beans, they almost have like, they're not like oily or anything, but I always feel like there's like a type of coating almost on it. And then
it's like a different surface than what like a washed, like it's like a smoother surface than a washed, maybe. Yeah.
And then like also the fact that I feel like a lot of times they also have a little bit of like a different color to them, combined with like the middle is not like white.
No, exactly. So you don't have the same amount of what would be referred to as silver skin in the center. So I'm gonna say like you're dead on in the sense that we're talking about a natural processed coffee, and that's for sure something you can see visually on the coffee here, right? That's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna leave this next to you. With Espresso Brewing, I'm always very curious in like a few things, and maybe talk about the basics, because you do have a fellow kettle standing here, and I guess you have water in that fellow kettle as well.
Yes.
So you have like an external way to heat up the water, and then you're gonna pour water in somewhere here, right?
Yeah, I mean, or the water is mainly just for heating up the cups, because normally I would actually have a cup sitting to the side here.
Okay.
But which is also a thing with the Pavoni, it's probably hard to see on the camera, but this portafilter is very tiny.
Super tiny, yeah. Sure.
So
do you know like a basket size?
It's 51 millimeter.
51 millimeter. So do you know what the intended grams would be?
I think the intended is actually 14, but I always use 15.
Okay, so a 15 gram dose.
So it's a tiny dose.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do actually manage to do ratio 1-to-3 ratio on this.
Okay.
So I try to like get around those like 45 out.
Yep. So that's kind of your go-to 15 to 45.
And that's just, I mean, I really like that ratio.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I think a longer ratio just gives you more flavors, right?
Right.
Then there's different ways to get there, and the flow rate on this machine would be very different from our previous machines, right? But how do you actually prep water in this machine, though?
So water is basically in here. Like you pop this, screw this on, and this is like sealed with like what did they called? Like rubber seal and everything. Sure. But yeah, basically just pouring it in here, and then I have like a little water meter here on the side.
That shows you how much.
That shows me how much water is in there.
And it basically heats up all the water itself, so you actually don't have to like heat up anything.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And that's the tricky thing with that's also why you get so much heat coming out from this that oftentimes overheat the machine, because this doesn't stop boiling. It's just like it just keeps going.
There's no regulator.
Or it regulates a little bit with like boiling up, but as soon as you can see, so there's like a pressure meter here for like the tank itself. That's just a little nearing like 2 bars.
Yeah.
and it does regulate that. So you can hear it like stops and then it goes down and then it boils a little up again.
Okay.
So it keeps that ratio. And then if you start steaming, it will just like full throttle boil all the way.
Yeah.
So it keeps creating new steam for.
Okay. So like steaming and brewing at the same time is not gonna be a thing.
You can. I mean, technically, you could like pull and like almost. But not quite.
Okay. Yeah. What is the water you put in the tank though? Just because knowing we're in Copenhagen, water kind of isn't very suitable for coffee brewing.
It's terrible.
Yeah. What are you actually using though?
I am using. So I'm mixing.
You're mixing
my own water.
Yeah.
And I actually just use what is here. So I'm using
classic.
The demineralized water from something that's called Matas.
Matas, yeah, that's how you pronounce it also in Danish.
And
5 liters.
Yeah, 5 liters.
I know this because I use it myself.
And then I mix with like third wave mineral packet.
Do you then use, because they have like classic, espresso, something, and they have like a few different versions. Which one are you using?
I'm actually using I think it's actually the filter one.
Yeah, like the classic.
The classic one.
It's not like the specific espresso one. Yeah.
And it seems like it's been working. I feel like it's working for me. I've used it for a very long time now, and I really like I do like the taste of it. But I would in the future I would like to have like a system.
Yeah.
Because I found out that you can actually get like small reverse osmosis systems at home that are some of them very simple, where you're just like screwing a thing on your tap basically.
Yeah, sure. It doesn't have to be complicated.
And then it goes through there.
It's a bit of an investment, but it's cheaper than your grinder.
Yes.
And it will last for like a year or like 2 years. So I mean, I think that's an interesting perspective, perhaps. So let's so basket size roughly 14. You're doing 15 grams.
Yes.
You already said that.
Yes.
So dosing and grind size, right? So do you have like a go-to grind size on the grinder, or would that change? Would you make a change knowing it's a natural processed coffee, or would you just I do what I always do and see what comes out?
Yeah, I think I would probably do a change. So because I know it's like a natural, there's a good chance it may be a little more porous.
Okay.
In structure, so water might flow through it quicker
than a wash.
So maybe I will go a little finer.
When you make that argument, do you also try to consider like a roast degree? So if it was from like a different roaster, would you also factor that in, or because this guy is familiar with our coffees from before? So you kind of know where we roast our espresso, but then would you also think of that with another roastery? Or would you think that it doesn't matter as much as processing?
No, I think it matters a lot. If it's like a dark roast, I would probably go even finer, because it's like even more like cracked up.
Yeah, sure.
The beans, so
which I think makes sense. So basically, natural processed coffee go a little bit finer. Was that what we said? Yeah, because it's gonna flow a little bit faster than a wash. I think makes sense. Darker roasted coffee, you would also go a little bit finer to compensate for like a natural faster flow. One interesting observation here, and I know this is part of the pitch with this grinder. So you're going to use 15 grams of coffee, and you just dosed 15.0 on the Akaya scale that you're using.
Yes.
So that means you have absolutely no retention in this grinder. That's what you argue.
Exactly. That is the magic of it.
Let's see if that's true though.
It's almost. Do you want
14.9 now?
Come on. Okay, we will add one.
You're gonna add one more bean. Okay.
One bean.
Because it's quite unusual that people do like. Okay, so now it's 15.1. 15.
But I'm telling you, it's gonna come out.
I mean, most people know I'm a big fan of these little machines, right? And then you have this espresso dosing gadget thing. Cool.
Actually came with it. I'm super happy about it. I can't really use it properly as it's intended, because I have a Pavoni and my filter is so small, and so it's too big. Dude,
this gets really hot. Don't touch this.
I mean, basically,
do you see now on the?
Yeah, so it's 90 now. It's like you can see like dark blue. Can you see it?
Okay, maybe I need glasses.
It is.
I get it. It's not as black as the other ones. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, so
it
it's
feels
like a
bit
dark
lighter?
blue.
Okay. Yeah.
And I mean, you're not the first one that has said to me that they couldn't see
someone
it.
can do that better.
Yeah.
Is that a Pavoni product or is that
No, it's
like
just like a whatever
modify thing product?
Yeah, it's a temperature strip from somewhere, and you can actually buy a digital one. It is a mod that I think you place like I can't remember how it works, if it's something you place inside, but then it attaches here, and then you have like a little digital display that actually shows you the temperature of the group head.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
But I honestly, I looked at it and it was just like, I think it looks ugly for the machine. So I thought this was like a more low-key thing to have on, even though it's a little hard to see. Okay. But yeah, let's see here. This was.
So now you're still kind of.
Yeah. That's also another thing with this machine. You have to be patient.
Yeah. Okay. But how patient? Like let's say I'm not here. You're making your morning coffee. You're turning the machine on. How long until you brew that first espresso?
I mean, if it's completely cold, I think it will be probably 20 minutes.
Okay. And is that 20 minutes of you having to do stuff, or just like you turn it on?
I think the first maybe 8-10 minutes or something like that is probably just the machine getting to where it needs to go, pressure-wise. And then like after that, I'm like doing a little thing, and then like pulling the shot and everything is gonna be quite fast.
Doing a little thing, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're spraying. So that's also a thing, right? People like to spray water on their coffee beans. And you do that to minimize static. And I guess have less retention to some degree as well, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And then,
so you're not having the grinder on when you pour in the coffee.
No,
controversial decision.
Oh, I know.
No right or wrongs. Just interested, because honestly, some people would say that you should have it on.
I know. I actually I did test it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think for me, I noticed that like with these small amount of like beans I'm doing. Yeah. I honestly couldn't like taste the difference. I've tried with like pouring it in, turning it on, or like having it on, pouring in, and I don't really found a difference in it.
I really like that as a comment, because a lot of these theories are all based on numbers, right? They're not based on taste. And in the end of the day, whatever tastes good is what you should do.
Oh man, such a joy. I love it.
You clearly like this grinder. Yeah, so it has this thing where in the end of the kind of grinding circle, it kind of speeds up just to make sure that the coffee comes out. Then you have the little tap thing, which they improved on the new 01, just want to say.
But this is also an upgraded version, actually.
Oh yeah, you said that's true, actually.
Press it. Just try pressing it.
So I've been pressing these a lot, and sometimes they're a bit difficult. Okay.
It's very easy now.
That's cool, actually. Plus, also, there's like nothing coming out. So this is a very clean grinder. It is a bit noisy, just saying. But it also looks great. And then, okay, now you're doing things. Sorry. So let's explain what we're doing.
Also what are they calling it? WVDT?
Or something like that. I don't know. Me in terms. I'm also... we've seen this before on these espresso videos. We also seen it in a filter video, which I think was quite interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But you're basically declumbing the coffee, just making sure...
Did you weigh now and make sure it's 15?
No, I'm going to weigh now.
You're going to weigh now, okay.
Let's see.
So you weigh in the tiny... Okay, and that's like 15.0. We couldn't have faked that, even if we could have faked it, but we didn't. But okay, it's actually 15.
I would carry it so you could see it, but I can't really without spilling the coffee.
I'll show you some details. Okay, so basically you dosed 15 and it came out 15. Right? Yeah. Based on the tiny Akaya scale, right? So I mean, this little thing for those, I mean, you all know what this is, Akaya Lunar. Cool. Then you're doing a bit of tapping.
Yeah. So usually I like try to declump it, and then I do a little tap on it just to make everything fall down.
Yep.
And then I have like, this is also a thing I feel like people have a lot of like arguments around if it actually matters or not. I still use it just to basically. I think it's nice to just like level everything out.
Yeah, it's like aesthetically pleasing to see that it is level. And also, where is this from? Just to
this is actually from the same place I bought like all my mods.
Okay. Where do you buy all your mods from?
Fuck, I need to remember the name.
We'll figure it out and we write it somewhere in the links, right? Because again, keep in mind that the basket size of this is not your standard basket size. So basically all the tools you're working with is different.
Even this one is also made from the tamper is also made from the same place, and it's like, because I couldn't find one that was like actually fitting properly, as you know, like some they have like a little wiggle room.
Yeah, a little bit gap.
And this is like 51.5 or something like that. So it's like perfect.
Basically as tight as possible. Tamping, you're quite aggressive there on the tamp?
Yeah. Just because I feel like with something I also learned with this machine is that like, because it's a lever machine, you kind of have to create enough like pushback from like the puck to actually build up your pressure when you're like, that's also why for this machine compared to like automatic machines, you have to consider like doing maybe a little finer grind, because otherwise you won't be able to like actually get the like bars you want when you're like pulling the shot.
Keep in mind that a lot of the pressure with these machines are based on the resistance in the puck when you brew, right? And these are not new machines. They were designed quite a long time ago, where espresso brewing was something other than what it is today, right?
Yeah. I think it's like they made the first one in like the 1950s or something like that.
So it's like old school.
Very old school.
Okay, so you have prepped the handle.
It's
the handle is like really semi warm, not hot, but like semi warm. Now you're doing some more stuff, and then we're gonna brew.
Yeah, I mainly just like a little extra dry pump, but just because we've been talking, so it dropped a little bit in temperature. And that's because of this mod, which I can mention in a bit.
Yeah.
Which helps a lot, but let's try pulling a shot here.
Let's try pulling a shot.
Usually take it up.
You're doing it on a scale or no? I'm not going to say anything. Just do your thing now, and then
mainly I'm actually almost never putting it up, because it can fit there with like really small cups, but there's not that much room. So usually I just don't do it.
You do it like this, So you crank that in.
And for the sharp-eyed ones, this goes the wrong way compared to like every other machine, which is weird.
True though, All right. And then we're pulling up.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna like stand a little way in the way.
We'll shoot that differently, don't worry.
And then I'm basically just listening for when the pre-infusion starts. You can hear it. Let's try to be quiet.
Okay. Then you started the timer. And then we see the pressure is now building up. And now you're pulling and we're going fast.
I had a bit of channeling there.
A little bit of channeling. That was interesting though. I don't think I ever seen a shot go out quite like that in my life.
But that's also the thing with this one.
Did you use the mirror thing you have there now?
Yeah.
So we've actually seen, this is the second guy that has this little mirror, which is super cool. You can actually see the extraction from underneath.
So yeah, that's so.
What kind of worked or didn't work now?
So what I noticed, again, I don't know this coffee. So what I definitely noticed that went too fast.
Oh, too fast. Okay. So let's say 12 seconds from when you started pre-infusion.
You can also see this is like over
48.4. So a little bit too much volume. Now, so this is a failed shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you then taste this now?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So you wouldn't go, the numbers doesn't work, screw this, I'm going to just do it again. You would actually go, okay, no, but let's taste this.
Yeah. Okay. I've had forced myself to drink very terrible shots.
And this is because you want to learn more, or because you like to...
No, I definitely want to learn and like see, okay, this is definitely not how it's supposed to taste.
Okay. So this is interesting. So basically then the shot went out way too fast.
I don't know if you want to...
No, I'm all in here. This is interesting, right? So let's see how a too fast extraction of a roughly 1:3.2 ratio tastes on a Pavoni, right? Are you one of those that like smells the espresso, or you just kind of drink
No,
it?
I definitely smell it. I think it's some like, I mean, that's a whole part of it. I think it's like espresso can have like these super fantastic, like just aromas
Yeah,
that
sure.
are like incredible in itself.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I've had espressos where I just sat and smell it for like a few minutes just without, because I mean,
100%. The biggest mystery in the world of coffee competitions and espresso is why the barista competition never had an aroma score. Because the brewing competition would have, right?
yeah.
And I think that's so strange because espresso, as you say, can smell amazing.
Yeah.
What do we smell actually? Is there any?
I don't
Like, do you get any clues on the coffee based on?
see. I think it's very faint. Maybe it's the cups. Maybe you should switch cups.
It's also a very fast extraction, right? I definitely get some like red fruit vibe to it. I mean, the mouthfeel is pretty awful.
Yeah,
It's very dry. It's very short. There's no structure. But I think aroma-wise, I get a little bit of like red fruit, which is nice.
It definitely has some acidity in there that
Yeah,
is on the like line of like there's some, as you say, like red berries, but I think as you also say it, like it's definitely dry.
Yeah.
And very thin as well.
Yeah, for sure. But given that you like, let's say pre-infusion was like 5-6 seconds, that gives you a total extraction time of like 6 seconds, right?
That was very fast.
So
very
basically,
fast.
we extracted espresso extremely fast.
Yeah. So let's not drink any more of that.
Let's do it again. Yeah. Should I rinse that for you?
Yeah, thanks.
Then you can jump onto. So now then, with the Pavoni, is it difficult to like just run another shot, or is there something you have to?
So this,
you have to like think about this now?
Yeah. So this is very interesting, and here is where one of like their mods comes in. That is like one of the most. I can, if any one of you have like one, my top recommendations for mods for Pavoni is this little thing. And this
like black rubber thing.
So this little thing that sits in between the group head and the boiler here is basically an isolator. And said very shortly, what it does is basically it makes sure that the head doesn't overheat. And it actually stabilizes the temperature of the group head quite fast. So normally in like the machines, if you don't have this on, you would like, it would, after you pulling just one shot, you would basically, it would jump up to like 110 degrees and even higher sometimes. With this, you can basically take a wet cloth and just like for like a few seconds, and this should be enough, and then it will jump down to like 90 again and stabilize.
Okay, so you like good to go.
Yeah.
In a way. Oh, awesome.
So you can actually finally pull like multiple shots on like a Pavoni, which is not a thing normally, I would say.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll give you this.
So this is so that, and then like of course this is almost I would say almost talks to what it is itself. It's like basically so you can see how much pressure you're pulling with.
Yeah.
So it's just like showing you your bar pressure. So and these again these two, like I would put it on any Pavoni if it was me, at least as just having a little bit of like modifications on them.
Awesome. I mean, workflow with espresso machines are important, right? Like you don't want, especially when you're dialing in a new coffee, right? So we were, which we didn't say before, but on this grinder, we were at what, 1.3?
Yeah, 1.3.
Yeah, okay.
And that was,
you had a way too fast shot, and you would you ever consider changing the dose, or you would always change grind size?
Always.
Or like pressure?
I would only change like grind size. Yep. The dose is so hard with this one because it's so, I mean, it's so small, so you can't like really do much. I could go down to 14, but I don't really find the 14 shots to be that interesting a lot of times. And you can't go above 15 because then you're like, there's no room.
No, sure, it's gonna expand too much.
Yeah.
So you want to go, you got a way too fast shot. How much finer do you go?
I'd probably go maybe down to like 1.5. Maybe I should just commit.
commit to one. Is that what you're saying?
Commit to one.
I love that you're like he's like 2 millimeters above one, not 1.1, just like a little bit.
Let's do 1 to see what happens. Maybe it's gonna be too fine now, but it could actually work.
Okay.
But let's try 1.
We're trying 1, and we're doing the same dose.
Yes.
Go for it.
Also, the beans are very big on this one.
The beans are very big. Okay, so natural processed coffee, a little bit of like red fruit berry like acidity-ish.
Yeah.
Are you starting to get like an idea, or you still feel? Obviously, we haven't had a perfect shot yet, so let's maybe do that first.
So let's see here. Just to make sure, it's already stabilized, so we can actually.
So you're looking that on the strip that you're the only one that can see. I think the more I'm looking, the more I kind of get it.
Yeah, it's like it is like
get it. If you know what you're looking for, then it's gonna make sense.
It's a very weak like tint.
Yeah.
But it is there. I'm so used to my normal flow, so I normally almost always only brew for myself.
Yeah, sure.
So I always like put everything back as soon as I pulled that one shot.
Yeah, because you're not gonna do another one.
No, exactly.
Sure. But how many times would you say when you have a new coffee, you're kind of in a situation like this where it just doesn't come out the way you want to? Is that usual, or do you feel like this is like more difficult than?
Maybe a little more difficult.
Maybe a bit more difficult. Okay.
Also, I don't know stuff with this. I know, but I would. I mean,
how often do you brew espresso, like for yourself?
Every day.
Every day. Okay, so he brews coffee every day, right?
No, definitely. Oh, let's do it.
You're hesitating over. Is it over 1? You're hesitating?
No. I was more thinking of like something we could try, but like that I've also been experimenting with, like basically having. Actually, after watching a video with Don, like doing the filter in the bottom.
Do you have a filter?
Yes, but I think let's try this first.
Okay.
Because I've been a little back and forth with it and tried a few things, but can't really figure out if it's taking away from the coffee. At least on my Pavoni. Maybe it's because the dose is so small, and maybe it's also because I can pull like 9 bars, but it's like pretty extreme on it.
Yeah, sure. So you're usually a bit below, kind of.
Yeah, I'm usually at 7.
Yeah, okay.
Bars.
I think makes perfect sense.
So because what I found with their filler on the bottom, it's definitely channels like goes away. It's perfect for that, which was quite incredible to almost see.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was lacking a little bit in taste afterwards.
Okay.
So almost as there was something that got taken away through the filter.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm a little torn on that one, if it actually is something that like is
I think
working.
it's fair to say that it's probably like the theory behind it is probably relevant on many different setups, but I don't think it has been tested maybe enough on a setup like this to really say.
Let's see here, just see again. Huh? I lost a milligram.
Yeah, and that was 14.9 actually on this 15-gram dose.
It's usually on point.
Just an interesting observation here, right? Yeah. Still pretty close, I would say.
I mean, usually it's pretty. I think it's really incredible that it's like has almost no retention at all.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, let's try again here.
Okay, so the aim here, same dose, same everything, different grind size, so finer, and then we're gonna try to make a longer shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you're listening. And there it comes. Something very peaceful with this way of brewing espresso, actually. It's a bit of like a meditation.
No, definitely. It's like a whole ritual almost.
Yeah. And I can see that's flowing way slower. kind of picking up a little bit in the end there, but definitely a longer. What's your average like contact time? What do you normally look for?
I usually look for around, it's quite fast shots, like proper turbo shots.
Yeah.
So I oftentimes look for around like 18, 19.
Okay. So you're actually quite close now. You're like 17 then, right?
Yeah. This is also looking better already.
This is which I'm always so surprised, or I am surprised seeing this now, because this looks like espresso. Because if you would pull this kind of ratio on any other machine and this speed, it would not look as much as classic espresso as this does.
No.
That's quite interesting to me. Like visually, it just looks like an espresso. You feel it smells different? Or
yeah, it's definitely smelling different now.
Okay. Let's do the cup thing.
It definitely has a little more. It's almost like thick in the aroma now, and has like definitely that almost like baked fruits to it.
Baked fruits? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
stewed baked. Yeah, cool. I mean, that's quite a different expression, right? Like it's for sure. It's sweeter. It's more texture to it. You can smell that without even actually tasting it. And there's something, for me, there's something very distinct in this that gives away exactly what this coffee is. I'm not going to say it because I know what coffee it is.
I'm still really doubting it. But is it like there's a little bit of florals, or am I off?
There is a little bit of florals. Yeah. This is for sure. Tell me what you think about this before I rant about it.
Like very, very much better.
Yeah.
I mean, the acidity is better. It has like a little more thickness to it. I'm not quite satisfied. There's still something I feel like that could be better.
Yep. What is it you don't?
I feel like I feel like there could be a little more complexity to it, and there's still like a little bit of like, what should I say? How should I explain it? It's like it stops very quickly. The taste.
You want a longer like aftertaste.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's very like sudden. You get like when you first drink this, it's like a lot of flavors in, and then it's like almost a very quickly wall that comes down.
Yeah.
Which still gives it a teeny tiny bit of like dryness, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. There's like just in I'd say that the first part of this espresso is like quite enjoyable, and you go like it's some fruit flavors, almost a bit of like florality to it, right? But then, as you say, it dies off pretty quickly, and then you have this like just like tiny bit of like harshness or dryness just on the throat, right? Which I would say you should try to avoid. What would you do about this? Or would you want to like? Would this be an acceptable espresso for you? Like, if this was your morning espresso, would you be like, "Nice, let's drink this and enjoy this," or would you go, "No, this is not good enough. Let's do it again"?
I would probably keep going because I'm like
let's keep going.
Very meticulous on this one.
What would you do now? What would be next step? Because you changed the grind size. You kind of got the brewing time you wanted. You got a very similar volume to kind of your standard recipe. Where would you go next?
I think I would. That's also the really enjoyable and interesting thing about espresso. I feel like it's like you can just keep going, but it's also like, and then the difficulties in like figuring out like the small little bit of like
what actually
the last,
impacts, sure.
The percentages to like get it exactly where you want.
Espresso brewing is super difficult.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I do like it. But sometimes I end up like either going like full on like madness mode and like just continuing on like getting it. And other times I like settle for something that's like,
good enough now. Yeah. So I think one of the things which we haven't mentioned, and Henrik doesn't know about the coffee, but roast date, for example, right? So I think you always have to factor in the roast date when you go at something like there is a little bit of like dryness here. So then one thing to consider is this, let's say, too fresh? Does it need more roasting? So I'm just gonna tell you that that the coffee here is about 24, 25 days from roast.
Okay. Okay.
So that makes me quite confident in saying that is not so much a degassing issue. So then I think we actually really can solve it with some brewing.
Yeah.
I would recommend, if I'm allowed to, and if you feel that you're not, you don't know exactly where to go next, try to, but two things that are interesting to try, either actually doing a 14, or I would actually pull more liquid out.
More liquid. Okay.
I'm not sure how easy that is to do with the Pavoni.
That's a little tricky.
It is, right? Because one of the things that surprises me a lot with this coffee in this kind of setup is how much of like and more classic espresso it tastes like. Like you have a lot of body actually, even if you pull the shot really long, right? Which I'm sure maybe one of you guys can explain why that is. Because traditionally, an espresso with this ratio and brew time would not have this much structure to it. And we know the water is really clean, so it's not the water. But then if you can't actually do a longer volume or more volume, I would probably do a 14.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is with it is like you could go further with like the infusion time. And get more liquids from there.
Oh yeah, sure.
And then, because you're kind of locked as soon as you start like pulling the lever down, you lock off the water.
Yeah. How would things taste if you did like? Is the pre-infusion time necessary then to get water in the chamber, or could you just do a shot without the pre-infusion time?
I mean, with this one, you almost can't, because you have to let the water in. Yeah. So you're basically getting a pre-infusion no matter what.
Yeah.
I think the shortest I've been able to do it is like 2 seconds. Okay. But it's still there. It's like you can't get around it.
Sure.
Yeah, because otherwise we could also try for fun to try and like do a filter in the bottom.
I think for sure we should try a filter in the bottom, but I think we should probably give ourselves, this will be a long video.
I'm sorry.
We should probably give ourselves a bit more time, because I think that the paper filter is, I don't think that's usually like the solution. I think it's like a fine tune. So I think we can figure out the solution ourselves, and then we can do a good one, and then we just pop in a paper filter on the last one to just taste the difference there, right?
Let's try a 14 then.
Let's try a 14. Who knows? It is a little bit of a different vibe.
But it's gonna be interesting to see with this, because I feel like oftentimes it changes a lot when you do like change dose.
Yep. Everything, right? Oh. But would you then also go finer on the grind size again? Because
that's the question now, to like actually if I should.
Or would you then end up being way too fast if you didn't change it?
I mean, yeah, it could be faster, but I kind of want to actually see how it turns out with just the same grind size.
Okay, let's do it. I'll say we'll try it, and then we'll figure out which one. We'll figure out what makes sense, right?
Right.
We're on a record long video here, which I'm all for, right? Let's see. We might cut some stuff. The thing is, again, like espresso here, and again, we always try to cut these videos as little as possible, because the whole plan here is just to kind of show things for what they are. And I mean, there's actually so much to learn from this conversation, right? So.
Just blasting out like nerdery.
Yes, but that's also interesting. I mean, that's one of the things why I also started to do like an espresso version of this video, is because I'm realizing that you guys are insane. Like home espresso brewers are like crazy. Again, met home filter brewers that are also like quite, quite nerdy, but I think espresso really is, the people that invest in a home setup espresso wise, they're usually a little bit insane in the best kind of way, right? But
all right, let's see if we can get this one to work. Oh man, it's such a routine. I really want to put everything back always.
yeah, but I'm quite like you work really clean, which is super nice.
Let's see here.
Do you ever use the milk steamer? Just like
yes,
as a side note?
I actually do. Cool. And it was painful to learn how to steam milk on this one.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because it's like, it's so small and it's awesome that it can actually do it. But at the same time, the pressure is so low, so it takes forever to like steam milk in it. It's so slow, so you have to really keep steady for quite a long time to actually make it perfect. All right, let's see here.
So to sum up a little bit, we're 14 gram dose, grind size number 1 or 1 on the grinder. And we're going at it again, and we'll see what comes out. Waiting for the water, pre-infusion, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you push. Definitely also a little bit shorter. 16, 17, 18. Yeah, so similar extraction time, even though we have 1 gram less. Still amazed over the fact that I don't remember the last time I had an espresso with like this much crema on it.
Perfect, almost perfect ratio.
Perfect ratio, which 44.7, which we're gonna say is 45 for the sake of for educational purposes.
But yeah, it almost have like stripes in it.
Isn't that quite amazing, right? Because if I pull this coffee on any other machine, it's just not going to come out like that. No way. There's no way we're going to have these stripes.
Damn.
So it's something with the Pavoni setup, or maybe the combination of this grinder, that really actually makes it a bit old school.
Definitely already good aroma again.
Oh yeah.
Let's see here.
And now it's time for you to guess the coffee.
Okay.
Or I will tell you. Like, we've given you plenty of time, all right? Like now it's there's no holding back here. We already know it's a natural processed coffee.
Yeah.
We know it has a little bit of like fruit acidity vibe to it. Definitely a bit fruit forward. A little bit of florality to it. Larger beans, you said as well. At least give me an origin, right?
Oh. Now it's almost like a little more candy-like in the aroma now. Fruity candy, something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit like wine gummy, or like maybe caramel, like fruit caramel, the kind, the caramel your grandma would give you when you're visiting, maybe. Good pitch for a competition if you ever want to do
the grandma thing?
People tend to like that, yeah. Almost like a little bit violet, like a little bit purple. I like to, like, discussing colors for flavors is always a good thing. I think this is a bit purple, red, brown-ish.
Definitely the brown. I really feel like I get the caramelly, like, as you say, also like a candied something, like candied berries or something.
I think they cleaned it up, didn't it?
No, it definitely did. It's very juicy, I think.
It's quite juicy, yeah, that's true.
But I still think it's a little bit, there's still a bit of like that wall. It doesn't last as long.
Okay, you want it to last longer, yeah.
But maybe it's also just the coffee. It could also be that it's like, I don't know.
Or maybe I'm quite a long.
I'm just bad at like brewing.
I'm just standing here listening to like it's pretty long aftertaste.
I blame the coffee,
which is fair though. I think people don't blame the coffee enough, which I think we actually should. But I think I actually get almost this kind of red currant vibe to it in the finish.
Okay,
that is a little bit lingering. Obviously, we all have different ideas of how much aftertaste we want as well.
But maybe it's also I'm a little. I should be fair here and say that I may be a little colored by the fact that I've been brewing a lot of their also from April, the El Socorro Geisha.
Ah, okay.
And I mean,
yeah, okay. So you're trying to
so that's
compare coffees.
Yeah, it's very bad comparison.
fair. I mean, all coffees have different attributes, right?
Because that one is like I feel like I've really nailed it.
Yeah.
Like brew like on the dialing on it, and it's just like incredible.
Yeah,
it's just and it lasts so long.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that is a pretty special coffee actually, and I would always say that there is, also, and I'm sure a lot of home espresso brewers may not agree with me on this, but the raw material still caps the quality of the espresso you can brew, right? So there's no such thing as you can make all coffees taste amazing, because not all coffees have the ability to taste amazing, right? That being said, I want you to guess a country now. Right? I'm just gonna put you on the spot, and
I will say one last thing. After it cooled down a little bit, I will say it's a little more lasting now.
It opens up quite nicely.
Yeah.
I'll never drink espresso too hot. Never.
No.
Like never. A lot of the times when I travel, you see, like, we sit down and get like the espresso. Maybe I drink with someone else, and that person has like finished their espresso before I start my espresso. Right?
That's
just
insane.
Let it relax. Right? Just let it relax.
Yeah. No, it's actually it's really nice. The acidity also spikes a little up in a good way. I think when it cools down, this one.
What do we?
Oh yeah, I guess.
We are gonna brew one more espresso, and I know this is a long video, but just bear with us because we want to try the paper filter thing.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving without that. But we still want to guess at the country, and then we use the time for the next shot. I can kind of pitch what it is. You are overthinking this.
Yeah, definitely.
So larger bean, natural processed, definitely a little bit brown, nougaty, chocolatey, caramel.
It's not okay.
A little bit of like red fruit berryness to it. Quite an interesting acidity as well, which is nice.
No, I was about to say it's not a Pacamara.
It is not a Pacamara. Pacamara would be larger.
Even larger, yeah.
This would be in the larger category, I would say, of varietals, but it's not a...
And it's not a geisha?
It's not a geisha.
Because they are also usually a bit bigger.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Maybe you're making it really complicated trying to guess the varietal directly, right? But do you have an idea of the area in the world?
Country-wise, definitely some South America something.
South America, okay.
Yeah. I'm going on a limb here and saying maybe it's also from El Socorro?
No, it's not from El Socorro.
Then is it Costa Rica then?
It is from Costa Rica. Which, because you know our coffees, you know which farm that would be then.
Yes.
If you remember.
If I remember the name.
Volcan
Azul, yes.
Let's prep the last one, and I'll tell you a little bit about the coffee so you get a bit of insight. So basically, you did not guess the coffee right, which is okay. Sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah. Can I last guess?
I'll go for it.
On the varietal.
Yeah, go for it.
Is it like a Mercatura?
No.
Damn it.
No. It could have been though, but it's actually an SL28.
Oh man!
Yeah, which is why you have this kind of, let's say, slightly SL28. For those of you that don't know, comes out of Scott's laboratories in Kenya way back. So this is technically a Kenyan varietal, same family tree as Bourbon, pretty much. A little bit larger in size for sure, and has this really kind of nice acidity structure to it, and like red fruit berryness to it, which I think is what we've been finding in the espresso. And then kind of Alejo doing Alejo's things, the producer of Volcan Azul, always has this kind of brown sweet sensation to it. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Oh man,
now you know.
I actually really like that coffee.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh man,
we had the wash version for like quite a few times, and now this season we brought in the natural as well, which actually is tasting quite good.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So now you pulled in a paper filter.
Yes.
Because that's fun. Like last shot to try.
Yes, and again, as we talked about, like Pavoni being difficult here with like tiny sizes, so these don't fit. These are like their AeroPress filters.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, they don't really fit, so I actually have to cut them myself.
So you hand cut your own paper filters in the bottom of the basket. That's a commitment.
And they still don't quite fit, but it's actually, there's a little bit of like an edge to it, but if you wet it, as I saw like Don doing also, you can kind of like make them fit perfectly, and they even go a little on the edge here.
A little bit like up the rim, yeah.
So it really bars off everything.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So for those of you that don't know, the idea with the paper filter in the bottom is to have a more uniform extraction, right? So it's basically avoiding that the water goes through certain specific parts of the puck. And we're sticking with 14. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So 14 to 45 on 17 seconds with the 9 second pre-infusion has been like the best recipe. So now we're going to try to just replicate that, but with the paper filter in the bottom. Then when you have the paper filter in the bottom, would you change any grind size? Would you do anything differently, or just same?
I would have actually maybe even go up a little bit like coarser, because I've noticed that it like significantly blocks even more. But at the same time, it could also be, now we are very experimenting a lot here, so it could also be interesting to see if we get even more out of it.
Yeah, okay.
With keeping the grind size.
I'd say let's try that, because it's also interesting, and then you guys can see a little bit what actually happens. So now we're actually spraying a lot.
So that there's, I don't know if you've seen like there's actually a research paper that came out that like Hoffman also did a video on, that have found that like besides like getting rid of like static, there's actually some science that points to now that you potentially can get a little more flavor out of your...
Like a bit more extraction, with a bit more water on the coffee, which is an interesting one.
Yeah. So I've been trying it out, just like spraying a little more. Normally I would only do one spray on it, but I'm doing a little more just to see.
Would you ever like overkill it and just like soak it in water?
I've tried already.
You have tried it? Of course you did.
But I got a little nervous for my grinder.
Yeah, you do have to care about the grinders also, right? That's true.
But I mean, it's very sealed off in there, so I don't think it's... But I think it was definitely interesting.
Yeah. That's so crazy that you actually soak the bees. That's insane. Fun though.
Fun.
And try it at home. If something bad happens with your machinery when you try it at home, it's not our fault, and it's your risk in all of this.
Exactly.
I should say that probably, right? So we don't take responsibility for the things you try based on these videos. But please try it, because it's fun, right?
And that is why you also do it. Yeah, just do it to your own stuff.
No, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Don't try this in your coffee shop where you work.
No, please don't.
That might be difficult. Okay, so we're distributing, we're tamping. Is this a fair representation of the amount of time you spend dialing in a new coffee, or is it usually faster? Obviously, it's faster because you don't have me annoying you in your kitchen, but like normally, how much time would you spend on dialing in that kind of new coffee?
So normally, I basically go almost, depending on the coffee a little bit, I sometimes go with like doing maybe 2 shots on a day.
Yeah.
Because I take it as almost like, okay, it's coffee time now. I'm gonna like try again.
Okay, yeah.
So I usually don't like stand there and just like hammer out shots to try and get it.
Yeah.
In the first like day I bought a coffee, I usually stretch it out on a few days.
Yep.
And every time like which I think is actually quite nice. I usually sit and like think about it, have that shot, and then I like think about it a few hours and then come back to it.
Come back like sure.
I actually also do like notes. I have like a little notebook.
Of course you do.
I also did a cover for This Is Me.
Oh yeah, so Illustrator. You should check his Instagram out.
But yeah,
that's really cool actually.
Little cover.
We do some decals on that.
Yeah. with just notes and for like dial-ins, and the dial-ins I actually managed to get down.
I can see like already the first comments on this video would be he should have his own YouTube channel.
No.
Probably true. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're heating this up again.
Just a little bit.
So now you're 85. I can see that. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
No, it's weird. I don't know why, but it jumps here.
Okay, now but it looks like it's 85 and 90 at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why this 90 is not like changing for some reason. It's a little confusing.
At least now I can see it, which I appreciate.
All right.
So same as the best recipe we've done, but with a paper filter.
Yes.
We're going up. We're listening, so we're going to be quiet for a while.
This is. I think you will also see
Henrik is not quiet. I'm quiet.
You will see like just how different it already looks when we have the paper filter in.
Yeah.
There we go.
Water is coming. And then you do 8 and 9 and press. Oh, yes. So now we're talking like espresso. This is insane, actually. So a little bit longer brew time, and like let's just quickly. Nothing is quick about this video, but let's touch on the fact that so your brew time. You stopped. When do you stop the brew time? Because you still have a little bit of liquid coming out.
I usually that's I don't have a set one.
When you feel like it. Okay.
When I feel like it's just like, okay, let it drip out a little bit and then I take it out. I never like take all of it because I think like I always, maybe it's just in my head, but I always have a thing that like the very last like line that is still like dripping a bit is usually very like over extracted. So I try to like hit it in a middle point with like letting it run out a little bit and then taking it off.
It's a little bit old school approach, but makes sense. So basically just for your reference then, when it comes to total brew time here, starting when the water has gone into the group head, pre-infusion for 9 seconds pretty much, and then pulling down, and then if you want to time the total brew time to when all the liquid is done and the shot is removed, you actually have to add a few more seconds to the shots that we're pitching in this video, right? So this says 18 based on Henrik time. In terms of all volume going out, it will maybe be like a 21, 22 shot, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, did I forget to?
Yeah. Damn you.
Yeah, I know it's me. I'm not keeping up with my cleaning duties.
Oh. You want some more?
Let's do some water. So we're gonna like try this last shot, and then obviously, I mean, I assume there's a massive Pavoni community somewhere.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. So we expect all of you to kind of tune in on this, and if you know where to find them, share it with these people. I don't really know where to find them. I guess it's Reddit. Is it Reddit?
Maybe I haven't actually gone too much into it, but I know there's a lot of or like a big community around out there. That's also why you have like all these mods for it.
Oh,
because
sure, yeah.
I mean, combined with the fact that this machine has existed for so long,
Yeah.
there's like definitely a big community.
So which paper filter? What's your take on this?
Maybe. It's actually, it's not there. It's along the same lines what we got before. I almost feel like maybe it's cut back a little bit. As again, I feel like there's missing a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe.
I find the texture is quite different from the previous shot.
Definitely.
This is lighter in texture. I would say I gravitate toward liking the previous shot more. Because I think the structure of that body fitted a little bit better with the flavors I'm getting.
Right. Yeah, it's more thin.
Yeah.
on this one. It is so, find it so funny that it's like how much difference from just putting that filter in
Sure.
comes with like to this shot or doing it, especially also on the Pavoni. It's I feel, or if a lot of machines probably, but I really feel like it's funny with this one that it's like after trying it also doing these last weeks, that it's like cutting back almost. It's almost like you're getting, without the filter, you're getting like everything.
Mm-hmm.
And here you're missing, it's almost like it's taking a layer of like the complexity away from it, and maybe probably also a lot of the oils.
I think that there's definitely something to think about, right? Because it's not just a uniformity in extraction. It's also then what are you then taking out with the filter that you don't take out otherwise, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is super interesting.
Yeah.
Have we gone through, just before we wrap up now, have we gone through all the modifications, or do you have some other secrets that we don't know about?
We can do a speed run.
Let's do a speed run. Then we're wrapping this up because we're already stolen an hour of your time. But yeah, do the speed run. Like, what are the mods here?
Okay, so we have, I mentioned a little bit beforehand, like the isolator. I highly recommend this. It's called, I don't know why they call this, but it's called a Bong Isolator. Yeah. And then you of course have the pressure profiling meter here for when you press the shots. I mean, definitely also very useful for having a temperature strip in some sense.
Yep.
Then the shower screen is an IMS shower screen. I also recommend that. It's not necessary, but I really felt like it made a difference, like how it disperses the water.
I would say if there's anything that makes a massive impact on the quality of your espresso, it is that shower screen. It's actually super important.
And then some of the internals I've switched out with, actually almost all of it, I switched out with the metal parts, because there is some parts in the Pavoni that is like... it's basically the sleeve their piston sits in is like, I think it's Teflon or something like that. And I'm switched out with like an aluminium. And then also a few things in the pipeline here, I switched out with a copper fastening in like from the kettle to like the head.
Cool.
Then a little more of this, like a little bit of like aesthetic. I mean, this I changed out. Normally, most of the Pavonis come with like a bar meter for like the kettle, but I thought it was ugly, so I changed it out so they fit.
Sure.
The same with like the sleeve for the water. Here is also like a little metal sleeve. We can do a close up of that, but yeah, also just for looking nicer.
Uh-huh.
And then like lastly, also very nice to have, not necessary. But I actually switched out the whole steam valve system.
Okay.
From the old one. So the original one, as some of you might know, is like one that has like a dial you screw around to actually make steam coming out. And it's a little annoying thing with that is that you don't really necessarily know when you have full power.
Yep.
So you keep screwing and then or turning it, which I thought was a little annoying. And this is basically a push valve, like most
on-off, yeah.
Pro machines, which is so nice. But just flicking this and you get steam.
Mm-hmm.
And it of course has like a lock up when you go up on like there, so it like locks in and you can steam, which is like, it was such a nice mod.
Yeah,
also
cool
to get. But that's about like all of it.
So basically, Henrik has changed the machine completely.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying. So super interesting. We know that there's a lot of Pavoni users out there. We know that we make sure to link to the page you referenced as well.
Yes.
To figure out the name. And yeah, we're super excited just to hear what you guys think about this video. If you bear with us to the end, it's kind of it's an interesting one, right? And again, espresso brewing is difficult. We got some really good shots, which is super nice, and obviously we have a really interesting combo here of like state of the art new grinder, old school machine, even though like heavily modified. So yeah, we just want to thank you, Henrik, for
Thanks.
for allowing me to crash your apartment. It's been super cool. Definitely the longest video here so far, but again, we've been having a lot of fun, so we're all up for it, and you'll see this in like full version, right? We don't cut down anything here. As always, if you want to support this, comment, subscribe, sign up to Patreon. All of it is really helpful. Patreon is where I tell you guys where I'm coming next, so to speak. So if you want to be a part of these videos, that's where you need to be signed up, right? So just thank you again, Henrik.
My pleasure.
Guys, and have a good day. We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see, because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.